What's going on, guys? I'm Zachary Gray, and today we're out here in southeast Louisiana, and we're going to be looking for a very special salamander. We're going to be looking for a mole salamander. Now, I've never seen one of these guys before. They're a really cool, fat little salamander, and I'm hoping we can get one, but it's still pretty warm for this time of year, so hopefully we can still get one. Let's go. Normally, wintertime is a time for species to slow down and cool off, but for salamanders, it's the time to get moving. And here in South Louisiana, we have some very special salamander species that call our woodlands home. On today's adventure, my aim is to locate the mole salamander, and get a good look at the wildlife that's still moving this particularly warm winter. Since salamanders usually enjoy the cold, you'd think they'd still be hiding, but some species are already out on the move. Ooh. Little spicy marble. Look how pretty that thing is. Hello, little fella. Wow, well, that is a marbled salamander, but it is one that is mostly white on top. If you look at that, beautiful species. And once again, this is a mole salamander species, meaning it's related to the mole salamander, what we are looking for out here. They're a little bit more general. They're going to be a little bit more widespread in this woodland area. And they're absolutely gorgeous. That one is stunning. Gonna have a lot of the similar habits of the salamander that we're looking for. And I can tell that this is a male. Marbled salamanders, the males are typically gonna have that more whitish blue coloration, whereas the females are gonna be more of a lighter gray, kind of more of a dingy coloration. Gorgeous, absolutely stunning salamander. Marbled salamanders are just a favorite of mine. They always have been, and they always will be. Salamanders typically enjoy cold, wet weather, but they're still coming out right now in preparation for breeding. This could just be because of natural instincts and knowing what time of year it is, or knowing that a cool front is on the way soon. Right now, the weather is more accustomed to another cold-blooded animal that I'm pretty familiar with, snakes. Have a look at this, guys. Woo, little worm snake. Have a look at him. Hey, bud. Oh, he's so tiny. I don't see too many of these. This is actually only the second one that I've seen in my home state. Have a look at that. He's got a pink belly. These are a little fossorial snake species. They got a little digging nose there. They're really good diggers. I'm sure there's a lot of them out here, but I don't see them too often. This is a decent sized one, although they will get a bit bigger than this, probably about twice the length, I would say, but they are a very small snake species. Got tiny little eyes. They mostly come out in the evening times or during heavy rains and stuff, but this time of year, they are just gonna be chilling under boards, chilling under rocks. They are more common in places out east and north of here, but in this part of the region, I don't see them too much. They're mostly little invert eaters. They're gonna be eating slugs and worms and stuff. In fact, this one's super fat. I'm sure it's eaten a worm recently. Really cool species. Another beautiful little fossorial snake we got here, and he's got a little sharp tail too. I wonder if they use that. I haven't even looked it up about these guys, but I think they would use it probably in the same way that muds and rainbows do to pin down their prey, except instead of eels and amphiumas, it would be worms, which is really funny. Really cool snake. We're gonna go ahead and put him back and keep looking for more. The mole salamanders are particularly difficult species to locate here in South Louisiana, oftentimes living in small, isolated populations. This time of year, they can be swimming in these small pools or potentially under muddy logs. But it looks like they're not the only aquatic salamanders out on the move today. Check this out, got a little newt. Oh, there's another one. Oh, there's another one. Check this out, guys. These are little eastern newts. Check that out. This is a really cool aquatic species down here. Oh, they're getting discomfortable. I think that this is, yeah, we got two males here. I think that other one was a little female that got away from me. But this is a big old female, and they've got those bright colors. They're a really cool aquatic salamander species. Now you can actually find these guys a good bit away from water typically, and this is when they're in their red F phase. This is a time where they're metamorphosizing back to aquatic. Newts do this really weird thing. You see, they lay their eggs in the water, and the babies hatch out, and you've got larva newts with the gill frills and everything. They hatch out, and then they go through a metamorphosis phase like a typical salamander, coming up on land, losing those gills, and they go into a red F phase because they've got a darker red coloration. They go into that for quite some time, and they go to upland areas, really dry areas, where you wouldn't think you'd see salamanders. And sure enough, after a good bit of time, they come back to the water. So they go water, land, water. And these are full-grown adults. These aren't red Fs. And you can see they've got some red speckling, got a good bit of coloration on them. And I can tell easily that these two lighter ones are males and that this is a big female. Wow, that is super cool. Not the salamander we're looking for, but a really special species out here. We're gonna go ahead and put these little guys back and keep looking for more. But that is awesome. Eastern newts. Good deal. There's our mole. Check that out. He's a fat one. Have a look at that salamander. That is really special. This is a mole salamander. Not often are these seen in Louisiana. There are a few populations of them, but they're a much more common species throughout other parts of their range where there's a lot more habitat for them. That's the difficult part in Louisiana, is their habitat. You're just not gonna get into big piles of them too often. Kind of looks like a marbled with no patterning, but he does kind of have a little bluish tinge to him. Now, mole salamanders, redundantly, are a mole salamander species. There are lungless and moles, not to be confused with mole salamander. This species is actually called the mole salamander, but there's also the different groups of lungless and mole. And the mole salamander is a mole salamander. That's the simplest way to put that in words. It's really, it's kind of funny. Really, really cool, dude. You can tell this is a male pretty easily. You know, he's got a little tiny tail too, a little shriveled tail. And I would have to guess that this is an older salamander, and I have really no way of knowing that right now. Salamanders are typically very sensitive, so we're gonna keep it brief and just talk about them for a few minutes. These guys are mostly gonna be eating little inverts, worms, and stuff like that. They're a pretty typical salamander species overall. Gonna behave a lot like marbleds and other mole salamander species. Now, this time of year is typically when they'd start coming out in full force after a big, heavy, cold rain, but it's like 80 degrees today. This has been a really, really warm winter, so it's really special that we're even getting to see this little dude. Look at him, he's starting to move. Once I got some water on him, he just started moving. Now, once we get a nice cold rain, these guys are gonna be out in full force, coming into this little pond and breeding. We're gonna be getting tons and tons of them. There's gonna be egg masses, and hopefully in this little pool, they'll be able to continue thriving, get some eggs out there, and get some babies into here. And that would be something really special to see. But honestly, I'm just happy to have seen my first mole salamander today. Really, really awesome species. They're gonna be spending a lot of their time underground for the year, especially during the hotter months. And during the winter, they're just gonna be out full force when it's wet. Salamanders really do love their winter times. It's really interesting. They just love that cooler weather, opposite of a lot of other species like frogs and snakes and stuff. So it gives me something really good to do when it gets cold. But today's not that day. We're still seeing snakes and stuff out. It is still very much so warm. So it's really awesome that we're getting to see this species. They will oftentimes live in the same areas as marbleds and spotteds and other mole salamander species. So you will see them mixed in with others. Up north, there are a lot more areas where you can see this species. And one that oftentimes people would confuse for mole salamanders are duskies. Duskies are common salamander in little streams and stuff like that, but they're typically going to be smaller. They're not going to have those little, see those little ridges along the body, and duskies are also going to have more patterning, but that head is kind of the main tell for a mole salamander. They've just got a really big, bulky head and that nice flat tail for moving through the water. I'm sure this little guy is going to be swimming around all sorts when it gets cold and wet. Really awesome species. We're gonna go ahead and put him back just to where we don't hold him for too long. If you guys did enjoy this video, make sure to check out the ones we've done with marbled salamanders in the past. Another favorite species of mine, and we will see you guys next time. All right, see you, little buddy. Back under your log. Man, that is awesome.